We are here at American Biker in Charleston, South Carolina, reviewing this, the 2022 Indian Scout Bobber. It's been almost an entire year since I reviewed the 2021, and that's one of my biggest videos on my channel currently is of that bobber. Caught me completely by surprise, but not really a surprise because this is just a cool bike, man. So not a lot has changed, really. I just want to kind of go through it again. I want to ride it again and tell you if my opinions have changed over this past year, you know, pretty much. So some of the stuff we may retouch on, but I'm going to try to talk about some different stuff in this video. And really, I do have some cons that I want to talk about, especially this being a 2022, some of which you might already know. One thing I do want to mention really quick is I was talking to Rob, and apparently, you know, these things come with black pipes, but Indian's having some sourcing issues there as far as getting them. So if you ordered one of these bikes some months back and you were expecting it to have black pipes, maybe talk with your dealer. See if they can work something with you between them and Indian, because that's kind of a bummer, and I get it. I would want mine to come with black. Right now, though, they are no longer, you know, promoting them with black pipes because, like I said, they're hard to get. So this is how they're going to come. If you order one today, this is what it'll come with. If you ordered it before the change, the unexpected change from Indian, like I said, man, try to talk to your dealer, see if there's anything they can do for you. I don't know, just throwing it out there. And I appreciate the information from Rob there, man. These guys are always awesome to me. If you're in the area, or if you're not in the area, come visit them or call them up and see what they can do for you on an Indian. Maybe this Indian, but I'm gonna ride this thing first, tell you what I like, what I don't like. Let's go ahead and start it up. All right, let's do it. Kickstand. One thing you'll instantly notice is the seat height, 25.6 inches. Anybody pretty much could flat foot this bike. Ignition right here on the side. We're in neutral. So you have a, you know, your starter button here. It's really easy. So basically you get power or get your fuel pump on, press the button, boom. Starts up just like that. This thing's kind of quiet, but one thing I can promise you is if you put pipes on this bike, even the Indian slip-ons sound pretty dang good. We had them on that Chief. This thing will sound amazing with some pipes on it, Vance & Hines or something, I don't know, whatever. What an absolute gorgeous day today in South Carolina. Don't get much better than this. 74 maybe. Like, I was in a stream the other night. If you guys don't know, I do gun reviews, I do my own music, I stream, and I was in a stream the other night and I was talking about, man, it's kind of hot. It was in the upper 80s, and I had a viewer tell me it's hot, question mark. Dude, we just got 4 feet of snow and it's -4 right now in damn Montana. I was like, bro, I feel for you, dog. I really do. So anyways, 2022 Indian Scout Bobber. One thing this bike does not lack at all is horsepower. You got a 550-pound motorcycle pushing 100 horsepower. This thing can be an absolute monster. 6-speed transmission. You have LEDs for your front and rear turn signals, but you don't have an LED for the headlamp. Again, this is something I gripe on Harley about all the time. It's 2022 and you're selling a 2022. This thing needs to have LEDs all the way around, dude. There's no excuse for that any longer. You got your bar end mirrors right here, and like I said, it's all in the name. This thing is designed for aggressive riding. You have tires that are super aggressive, almost little knobs on the tires. You know, it's designed for aggressive style riding, and that's what you're gonna get out of this motorcycle, is aggressive style riding. Everything from the seating position to the bar end mirrors, all of it is just aggressive. Very smooth 6-speed transmission. So if you've never ridden an Indian and you're like, man, all American cruisers are the same, not these guys, man. When it comes to like the transmission and shifting, you don't hear that big clunk like you do with a Harley. Not that I mind the clunk, but you don't hear all of that. It's almost like a metric bike, but it's not. It's an American bike, you know what I mean? So you get that, you get a very smooth ride. This one is going to lack, let's say you're looking at something like a Chief, right? Where a Chief will have ride modes. It has a bigger motor. It's also an air and oil cooled bike, whereas this one is fully liquid cooled. So this one's going to deliver a lot of horsepower out of a, 1100, I think 33cc motorcycle, but you're not going to get all of the other stuff like your ride command. You're not going to get your ride modes and things like that. And it's going to be relatively, a smaller bike all the way around. Now they also have the Scout 20 that I think came out, maybe it was new for this year, but that one actually has more of a comfortable type of riding position. So you have higher bars, and things like that. So the seating position on the Scout 20 is a little bit different. And then the rest of the Scout lineup, it's essentially pretty much all the same motor. You have the Scout and the Scout 60. So this one, of course, 69 cubic inch. On the Scout 60 series, you have a 60 cubic inch motor. For those that are maybe just getting started, and that, because this is a lot of power now out of a little motorcycle. Don't get it twisted, dude. 100 horsepower to something like this. Remember when I rode my Iron 883, that thing was like what was it, like 60 horsepower, if that. And it's about the same size bike. Yeah, this thing is, it can be a monster for sure. So the reason I took it through the construction area right there is to get an idea as best as I can right here and show you the suspension. You have 2 inches of travel, and this is one of my biggest gripes on this bike. So it's got this sporty feel, right? But that comes at a cost of being an incredibly uncomfortable bike over bumps and humps, and I'm sure it's probably the same way where you live too. There's a lot of them. So if you're expecting the super smooth adjustable suspension, one thing I would say that I would do probably sooner rather than later if I were to buy one is upgrade the suspension. There's not enough travel there. Then if you want to put a passenger seat on this thing, dude, forget about it. You guys are going to be riding on that damn shock pretty much the entire time. Just upgrade this suspension. That's going to be the best way. Fox, Indian, I think has a performance shock. Fox makes them. Dude, that's the way to go. So just one thing I wanted to point out. I think the regular Chief, or I'm sorry, the regular Scout has 3 inches of travel, so it's a little bit better, but you don't have a ton of travel on here. It's one thing you may want to consider. One thing I'll point out while I'm here at this stop, when you pull in your clutch, like I'm doing obviously right now, your gear indicator does not go away. So that's kind of cool. And then also where this thing engages, it's very quickly. So that's pulled all the way in. Right there is where it starts to engage. I really like their clutch setups on Indians because it's just easy. You don't have to cramp up your hand if you're in stop and go traffic. Just a minor little thing. By the way, this one does have ABS. ABS is available on all of these models now. All of the colors, I should say. This one is the Silver Bronx something. I'll drop it. I'll drop it on screen here so you can see what color this one is. Pretty cool. Kind of like a silver and black accent. It's kind of nice. You hear a nice little rumble at stop. You know, it's not too bad, but this thing is nowhere near where it can be with a good set of slip-ons. Let me get around. Yeah, with a good set of slip-ons, dude, it will wake this bike right up. And you can see my riding position. Like, I can sit up and be pretty comfortable. When I'm down like this, though, I'm gonna be slightly bent. So I'm not fully bent over the tank, obviously, but I'm not straight up either. So I'm somewhere in between. Kind of reminds me of the Sportster S in a way, if I'm being honest, where part of my back is kind of flat, the other part is a little hunched over. So I would be good on this bike for maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes maybe, before my back just started to scream at me. And in this seat, it's not going to help that much either. But again, there's an entire catalog of accessories that you can go over and you know, upgrade to your heart's desire, really. Potholes like we just passed, though, you do not want to hit them in this bike. I made that mistake on the Sportster S, and yeah, I regretted it. My ass literally came out of the seat. One other thing that I would like to point out, by the way, who is this bike for? It's for people that want a commuter. It's liquid cooled. You ain't got to worry about, you know, getting a ton of heat off of the motor and things like that. So for commuting, it's amazing. Bike night, it's amazing. I wouldn't be going across country on this bike, no siree, not me. But, you know, I'm sure people would do it or have done it, possibly. I don't know anybody personally, but, you know. And it's a very easy bike for people to kind of get into. You know, this is one of those bikes, like, if you're smart about it and you're just starting out, you could easily ease your way into this bike. But then 4 months down the road, when you're comfortable, you could then really start to open it up. You know, you could really start to open it up, and you won't get into that trap where, it's not really a trap, but a lot of people will buy a new bike, right? And it's a small bike or whatever, and they don't want to get in trouble. They don't know what they're doing, and that's totally understandable. But 4 months down the road, they're looking to trade in. This is a bike that you could ease into, right, if you're careful, but still grow into as well, and not be looking to upgrade so quickly. So I think that's where it's a good balance. Again, this is assuming that you know you and that you're gonna, you know, be smart about it. Because like I said, this is a lot of power in this little, you know, mid-frame to small type of motorcycle, okay? But people that want to get there quickly and aggressively, this is a great bike, man. It looks good, it sounds good. You're going to be getting tons of comments about how great this bike looks, and I agree. The aesthetics, they nailed it, dude. I love the fact that it's liquid cooled. Ain't got to worry about all that heat, especially in stop and go traffic. And considering who this bike is for, commuting and all that kind of stuff, that kind of hits the nail on the head. 6-speed transmission, so you're going to be able to cruise down the highway. You're going to get a lot of wind, but you're going to be able to cruise down the highway and be comfortable with that, and there's not going to be a ton of vibration there for you to have to deal with. ABS, again, I think that should be standard on every motorcycle, but not that it has to be forced, but I like the idea of that it being, you know, ABS. It just, hey, it saved my bacon on the Super Chief, I'll say that. So I really like this bike for a lot of different roles. I don't think it's great if you want to put a passenger on it unless you upgrade those shocks. Then I would say, yeah, absolutely, you know, you could probably do that for sure. Digital tachometer, not a huge fan of. There's no navigation, ride by, you know, turn by turn navigation and stuff. But my biggest gripe is these shocks, man. Even that little hump right there, it does not take them well. Also, I really wish they would have put full LEDs all the way around. They did, almost, except for the headlight, which is one of the most important lights that needs to be LED, I feel. Other than that, I think keyless ignition would be a really solid thing to start putting on these bikes. You still have your old key cylinder. Most modern bikes now are going to have keyless ignition. Other than that, man, the riding position, it's not for me personally for longer trips. I can do it on these shorter trips, no problem. So would I buy this bike? No, it's not for me. Should you buy it? It depends on what you're using it for, man. If you want a good looking bike that you can rip around town, rip through the canyons, rip through the mountains, wherever you're ripping, this might be a good one for you. So that's it, man. This is the 2022 Indian Scout Bobber. Not a whole lot's changed, but it is still one hell of a fun time, man. Come check it out at American Biker. Let them know that I sent you. Talk to Rob. I'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, hold the rubber side down.